There are moments in medicine when a treatment doesn't just improve on what came before, it redefines the category entirely. We are standing in one of those moments right now. What I'm going to present to you today is not another weight loss drug. It is not a refinement. It is not an incremental improvement on something that already existed. It is a biological rewrite. Retatrutide, a triple agonist acting simultaneously on three receptor systems that govern how the human body stores energy, burns fuel, and regulates itself at the deepest biological levels. Before we're done today, you will understand not just what retatrutide does, but why everything that came before it, as impressive as it was only the first chapter of this story. To understand where we are, we need to understand how we got here. The first generation. Semaglutide, the molecule behind Ozempic and Wegovy. When it arrived, it changed everything. For the first time, a pharmacological treatment produced weight loss that was clinically meaningful, 8 to 15% of body weight, sustained, reproducible. The medical community had to revise decades of skepticism almost overnight. Semaglutide worked by mimicking GLP-1, a gut hormone that signals satiety to the brain, stimulates insulin release, and slows gastric emptying. One receptor, one system, remarkable results. Then came the second generation. Tirzepatide, Mounjaro, and Zepbound. The insight was bold. What if we activated two receptors instead of one? GLP-1 plus GIP, a second gut hormone that amplifies insulin response and acts on fat tissue directly. The results were superior. 15 to 22% weight loss, better metabolic outcomes. The scientific community took notice. Two receptors were better than one. But a question remained. What would happen if you activated a third? Retatrutide answered that question, and the answer changed the conversation completely. Retatrutide is a triple agonist. Three receptors, three biological systems, activated simultaneously, in concert, in a way that no previous treatment had achieved. The first receptor, GLP-1, this is the foundation. Reduced appetite, better insulin response, slower gastric emptying. Every treatment in this class activates it. Retatrutide activates it well. The second receptor, GIP, the amplifier, it deepens the insulin response, acts directly on adipose tissue, and improves overall metabolic sensitivity. Mounjaro added this. Retatrutide includes it. And then the third receptor, the glucagon receptor, GCGR. This is what makes retatrutide categorically different from everything that came before. The glucagon receptor was long misunderstood, seen primarily as a counterweight to insulin, something to suppress rather than harness. That understanding was incomplete. When the glucagon receptor is activated in the right metabolic context, it does something neither GLP-1 nor GIP can do alone. It elevates basal metabolic rate. It activates thermogenesis, the body's internal heat-generating, fat-burning process. It drives the oxidation of fatty acids in the liver. And critically, it stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new, more efficient cellular energy factories. Ozempic doesn't touch the glucagon receptor. Mounjaro doesn't touch it either. Retatrutide does, and that changes everything. So what does triple agonism look like in clinical practice? What does a patient actually experience? The first benefit is the one people ask about most, weight loss. Up to 24.2% of body weight in 48 weeks. To put that in perspective, semaglutide achieves 8 to 15%, tirzepatide 15 to 22, retatrutide is approaching the territory of bariatric surgery, without a procedure, without an operating room, without the risks of major surgery. But the percentage is not the most important part. The second benefit is what type of weight is lost. With GLP-1 only treatments, a significant portion of weight lost, in some studies approaching 40%, is lean muscle mass, not fat. This matters enormously. Muscle loss reduces basal metabolism, increases the risk of weight regain after stopping treatment, and compromises functional strength. Retatrutide's glucagon agonism appears to change this equation. Preliminary data show superior preservation of lean mass. The body learns to burn fat selectively because it finally has the signals to do so. Third, basal metabolism. Glucagon activation elevates how many calories the body burns at rest. This is not a side effect, it is a feature. It means the metabolic reset persists even between meals, even during rest. Fourth, direct brain action. Retatrutide crosses the blood-brain barrier. We'll dedicate a full slide to this because it deserves it. Fifth, liver health. Hepatic steatosis, fatty liver disease, affects a vast proportion of metabolically compromised patients. Retatrutide's glucagon pathway produces deeper resolution of liver fat than semaglutide or tirzepatide can achieve. And sixth, cardiovascular and systemic benefits. Blood pressure improves, lipid profiles normalize, systemic inflammation markers fall, insulin sensitivity reverses more completely. This is not weight loss treatment. This is metabolic transformation. I want to spend a moment letting the data speak for itself, because when you lay these three treatments side by side, the picture is clear. Ozempic activates one receptor. It produces weight loss of 8 to 15%. It has no meaningful effect on basal metabolism. It does not stimulate mitochondrial biogenesis. It crosses the blood-brain barrier only partially. It has limited impact on neuroinflammation. It produces moderate improvement in hepatic steatosis, and its preservation of lean muscle mass is limited. Ozempic is a landmark treatment. It proved this approach was possible. We owe it enormous respect. Mounjaro activates two receptors. Weight loss climbs to 15 to 22%. Metabolic sensitivity improves more comprehensively. But it still does not touch basal metabolism. It still does not touch mitochondrial biogenesis. It still does not address neuroinflammation at the central level. Mounjaro is a significant advance, but it is not the complete answer. Retatrutide activates three receptors. Weight loss reaches up to 24.2% with superior lean mass preservation. Basal metabolism is elevated. Mitochondrial biogenesis is activated. Blood-brain barrier penetration is significant. Neuroinflammation is reduced. Hepatic steatosis resolves more deeply. And muscle preservation is superior. Every row in this comparison tells the same story. Each generation expanded the reach. Retatrutide reaches where the others could not. I want to talk about something that most metabolic treatments have never been able to address. Something that sits at the very root of why so many patients struggle. Not with willpower, not with knowledge, not with effort, but with a biological system that is working against them at the level of the brain. The blood-brain barrier is the most sophisticated filter in the human body. It protects the brain from almost everything circulating in the bloodstream. Most medications cannot cross it. Most treatments act on the periphery, the stomach, the liver, the fat tissue, and send signals upward through hormones and nerves. But they never arrive at the command center itself. Retatrutide arrives. It reaches the hypothalamus, which governs appetite regulation, energy balance, and metabolic signaling. It reaches the hippocampus, which governs memory, learning, and emotional regulation. And what it finds there, in the brains of patients with chronic obesity and metabolic dysfunction, is inflammation, neuroinflammation. A brain under chronic neuroinflammation is not just eating more. It is fatigued. It is emotionally unstable. It is prone to depression. It has impaired impulse control. It is locked in a state of biological emergency, chronically elevated cortisol, disrupted dopamine signaling, fragmented sleep, high blood sugar, all compounding each other in a loop that no peripheral treatment can fully break. Retatrutide quiets that fire. When the neuroinflammation subsides, something extraordinary happens. Impulse control returns. The reward system stops its relentless search for the next hit of gratification. The brain recovers its capacity to regulate, to hear the body's signals, to respond appropriately, to rest. And here is the sentence that I want you to carry with you. Ozempic reduces appetite. Retatrutide repairs the brain that generates it. That is not a small difference. That is the difference between managing a symptom and addressing its source. So who is this treatment for? The patients who stand to benefit most from retatrutide are those for whom the existing tools have not been enough. Patients with severe obesity, BMI 35 and above, especially when metabolic comorbidities are present. Patients with significant insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, where GLP-1 alone has not achieved adequate control. Patients with fatty liver disease or full metabolic syndrome. Patients who have tried previous treatments and not achieved durable results. And patients where the eating behavior has a clear compulsive or emotional component, where the brain, not just the body, is driving the dysfunction. For these patients, retatrutide is not more of the same. It is a categorically different tool for a categorically more complex problem. Let me leave you with a summary that I believe is worth carrying forward, not as a promotional claim, but as a scientific statement. Ozempic, one receptor, up to 15% weight loss, no meaningful effect on basal metabolism, no central neurological action. Mounjaro, two receptors, up to 22%, better metabolic profile, still no glucagon, still no mitochondrial action, still no deep neurological reach. Retatrutide, three receptors, up to 24.2%, basal metabolism elevated, mitochondrial biogenesis activated, blood-brain barrier crossed, neuroinflammation reduced. This is not the next step. This is a leap of category. Obesity is not a problem of willpower. It is not a problem of calories. It is a complex biological engineering failure, occurring simultaneously at the hormonal, neurological, mitochondrial, and metabolic levels. For years, our treatments addressed one or two of those levels. They helped. They genuinely helped. Retatrutide is the first tool with the architecture to address all of them. That is what a biological reset looks like. That is retatrutide.